All right, all right. Welcome in a town world. This is the Solid Grip coming to you live at 5. No time for jive. Hey, look here, man. This is a special day. We have been dealing with some unprecedented events that have happened, and we're gonna get straight off into this thing. But look, relax your ear and allow us to soothe your ear. I'm your host, J.R. Wilson, alongside me, my father, Ping Wilson, and I'm telling you, we finna bring it to you hard, fast, and quick. So open up your ear. Pop, man, how you doing over there?
A little tired, Rich, but excited about the program today. We've got some good topics that we're going to hit and stuff. And hey, listen, audience, hey, we'd like you to go ahead on and just get your ears ready because we got some good stuff for you.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. No doubt about it, man. So, Pop, man, we all know what has gone on, man, in the last 10 days or so, with the tragic and unmitigated death of George Floyd, Third Ward's own, Houston, Texas. It was a disgusting act of murder that happened from the police. It was an unprecedented event. It was irresponsible, erratic on the part of the police officers. I'm not against all police officers. I know that they do come to serve and protect, but just like in any other field, you always have bad apples that spoil a bunch. And in this particular case, it sparked something that went worldwide. But it is my contention, Pop, that this thing grew the way that it did because all that's been talked about the last 3 or 4 months is the pandemic, the coronavirus, COVID-19, and no one's had anything else to focus on but that. And all the shows that have dropped on Netflix, Hulu, Apple TV, and all those little outlets, man, where you can watch stuff. And I think that it was augmented significantly and exponentially because this is something to pay attention to. I'm not saying it's not big, but this ain't the first time something like this has happened. It's not the first time that it's happened on camera or there's been audible for it. Nevertheless, it's something that happened in the time where our focus has been on one thing and one thing only, and that's the coronavirus. So as tragic as it is, Pop, I have my feelings about the protesting, and that's something I want to get straight off into, man. I stands on the George Floyd protesting. So, Pop, let me just say this, man. I am for protesting. Okay, I don't have a problem with it at all. I think that we have the right to do so. I do, however, I there's a lot of pushback with me when it comes to individuals that feel like, hey, don't say nothing about don't say nothing about people that are looting because the ramifications or a result of what has happened to individuals who have been oppressed. And that's, to me, that's a bunch of hogwash. People are looting because the opportunity is there. Okay, so yes, I could even see you setting things on fire, even though I don't completely agree with that. But to me, that would make more sense of trying to make something known, trying to put send a smoke signal out and let people know that what's happening is not right. So as far as my stance on the protesting, we should protest peacefully. If you do your research, okay, people that have protested peacefully, they have been the one that have endured the pushback from the people they were protesting again. They didn't do the pushing back, and things were changed in that manner. Hence, Martin Luther King. Okay,
Exactly.
and I can run down the line, but that's how it should be done, and it should be done that way because there is social injustice and racism, racial insensitivity. There's a whole lot of that. But I'm gonna say this thing, Pop, and I'm gonna let you hit on it. That according to the book of Matthew in the Bible is something I believe in wholeheartedly. Matthew chapter 24 verse 7, it says that nation will rise against nation. And so since we know that is the inevitability of mankind, that ethnic groups will rise against ethnic groups, this does not surprise me. And I just feel as though, hey, if you're going to protest, you should protest, but do so in a manner that does not besmirch our name as Black individuals in the Black community.
Well, Rich, to be honest with you, I'm not downtrodden.
Yeah.
I am really encouraged, man, because I see change.
Right.
I will be 67 years old if like my grandmother always say, if the good Lord say the same, October 19th. And for someone who's been a part of protests, there's a change.
Yeah.
See, when we protested back in the 60s, there was one white person. There was one white person with us, one. And I'm talking about hundreds,
Yeah.
500, 600, maybe 1,000. There was one. If you look at this protest now, especially now in the day 10, it is mostly Caucasians, it's mostly Hispanics. The black people have gone home. Those looters that you talked about, they most of them have gone home. They've done their stealing. They have gone home. So I am encouraged, Rich. You know, I heard a white man say that there have been 3 events in the history of African American people that more or less things have happened. The first one was the Civil War and the Emancipation Proclamation. Number 2 was the movement, the protests in '63 and in the '60s by Dr. Martin Luther King. The third one was Barack Obama becoming the first African American president in the history of the United States. And then this last one being, of course, the brutal death of George Floyd. And Rich, you know, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, that I'm paraphrasing, that God would take the foolish things, okay, to make the wise, to shame the wise people. And who would have thought a young man from Third Ward, Texas, who had never distinguished himself. I mean, he was an okay football player. He didn't play at the next level and stuff. That God would use this to start a new movement, man. And I think this is part of him bringing his people together. Okay, I like I said, man, there are doctors and lawyers out there protesting, and I'm not talking about just protesting. They're going to jail, man. They're staying past the curfew hour. But hey, I think that is what God meant when He said that y'all are my children. Okay,
Yeah,
we're all His children, and so, man, I am so proud. I'm proud of Bill O'Brien. I mean, I know we're gonna get to that and stuff, but because I'm telling you, Rich, there were things going on in the '60s with protests. When dogs were getting released on us, when tear gas, when fire trucks and stuff, that stuff has stopped, man.
Yeah.
You know, and so we're getting some results. All 4 of these officers have been charged. Okay, all 3 of them spoke up today. They had their day in court today, and they come in with the truth. You know, one of them is an African American man. You know, and so, man, I think we're going to see change in this country. You know, I think God is drawing His people in these bitter last days and stuff. You know, He's drawing His people back to Him. He's giving everybody an opportunity to put their name in the Lamb Books of Life. And for those who choose to not do so, there's a price to pay, Rich. It really, truly is.
Well, let's talk about something that you mentioned earlier, man, that Bill O'Brien's remarks regarding the situation with George Floyd. And honestly, as much as people hate Bill O'Brien in this city, man, he has earned a lot of cool points, man, because he came out and he spoke from the heart. And yes, I know some of it, he read some sort of dissertation that he may have or someone else curated for him. Nevertheless, there was a time where he took his eyes off of, you know, what he was reading, and he spoke from the heart, man. And when you start seeing individuals like that, I don't care what nobody says, man, when they say, hey, look, man, I'm tired of y'all waiting on, you know, other races to come together with us for things to move. That's how things move, right? That comes from a biblical foundation, right? Divided you fall. Okay, so you conquer when you are together, right? The scriptures talk about a rope. 2 is better than 1, right? 3 is hard to break, right? And so if people are coming together, especially other ethnic groups dealing with this situation, that is what's going to bring change. But people had to see an event like this for it to start awakening people on these type of situations, dealing with racial profiling and dealing with social injustice. And there are a lot of people still, Pop, that are not going to understand. They're just not going to understand what it means to be a black person in America. And I
Exactly.
mean, it ain't, I don't even know if it's for us to make them understand unless they want to have the conversation by asking the questions. Okay. Nevertheless, you cannot deny the undeniable. Okay. And so, with that being said, man, Bill O'Brien really said some stuff, man, from the heart, man, that touched me. And I wish, I could play the whole clip, but it's a long, long, long clip. It's about 12 minutes long. And so we'll just kind of confabulate on it because, he's as a coach, you are in charge of all the players. And as a general manager, he's not just in charge of the players, but of administrative. And the matter of fact, he's basically second in command right under Cal McNair. So he has a responsibility, man, as a coach. And he's the first one that I know of that spoke out on it, because look, he had to deal with that, man, when there was a racist white individual from Onalaska, Texas, who spoke about Deshaun Watson and that black quarterbacks were incompetent. And Bill O'Brien did not take well to that at all, because even if Bill O'Brien grew up in a household where racism was in full effect, especially him being from Boston, especially him being of Irish descent, okay, but being around these individuals is something that I spoke about before, that you develop these relationships. That's how walls get broken down of racism, because if it's instilled in your mind to be racist towards another ethnic group, that means you don't really know nothing about them, and you ain't trying to know nothing about them. But when you're in a situation where you have to know something about them and you end up getting close to them for whatever reason, you start to realize that when they cut and you cut, you all bleed the same. And so that is what happened with Bill O'Brien, and you could clearly hear that in his cadence. You can clearly hear that in the content in which he gave in that video. And truth be told, a lot of black folks could probably call it, that was a little bone that he threw. But being in a position of power, you don't have to do stuff like that. He made a decision. He chose to do that because, man, at the helm of his team, man, is one of the most important person for the Houston Texans, which is Deshaun Watson.
Exactly.
And you have to stand up for your players, man. And Bill O'Brien has always done that, man. When they were kneeling and they asked him about it, he was like, look, I'm gonna be for the players regardless.
Right.
He said that out his mouth, man. So you have to respect that. You might not respect all the decisions that he makes as a coach and as a general manager, but you have to respect the fact that he stood like a tree planted by a river on these issues, Pop.
Exactly. Rich, in most places in the Bible, when God got ready to do something, there had to be a sacrifice. When Abraham took Isaac up and stuff, God was just really testing him on that. God had to sacrifice.
Right.
And I guess, Rich, George Floyd was the sacrifice in this situation. And hopefully he's in Abraham's bosom. But he's caused some things to happen. He's caused some change. I see a change in Bill O'Brien. I don't know whether he had a Damascus Road experience or what, but I'm telling you, I was one of the most critical people on this earth about him. I thought he was just another racist old white boy.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm telling you, man, some of the things he said, and I know some of it he might have read, but some of those things came out of his heart. Right. Some of the things he talked about Brian Flores and how they worked together in New England and how he'd been talking to him. He talked about John Watson. He'd been talking to him, man. And if my boss said it today at work. If white people would just shut up and listen to us, listen to our experiences, listen to some of the things that have happened to us. Rich, I can remember I was about 5 or 6 years old, and that was a baseball park that was in the black community in Hard, Louisiana, which is the outskirts of Jonesboro. And we could go to the games, but we couldn't sit. And we'd have to, the white people got a chance to sit, and so we had to stand around. And one night, man, a white girl with just some real short shorts came to the concession stand, and she caught all of our attention. All of us. I mean, I was probably 5 or 6 years old. I turned and looked, and so a white cop saw this guy named Scott looking at the white girl, looking at her probably looking at her legs. And Rich, they grabbed him, they drug him about quarter of a mile down in a ravine-like area, okay? And we all followed. We all followed. It wasn't but 2 cops. And maybe about 300 or 400 of us, we all followed. And Rich, they beat him with billy clubs. They beat him with their fists. And we just all stood around and watched it, man. You know, and as a young kid, I was terrified. I'm thinking to myself, my goodness and stuff, that could have been me. Because I look too, Rich. Rich, that's not going to happen today. If 2 white cops do that today and 300 or 400 black men are around, them cops will never get a chance to go to trial, man, okay? So things have changed, man. You guys, you know, millennials, Generation X, Jeremy, Caleb and Jamel, they're not going to take that, man. They're not going to take that kind of abuse and stuff. And so, like I said, if white men, and I'm going to tell you something, white women got it. They've had it for a while, but they have been afraid to talk about it. Okay? Yeah. I remember there was this white girl when I was a senior in high school. You know, hey, the schools had just integrated in 1970, okay? And so I remember her writing in my yearbook, gosh, I wanted to go out with you so bad, but hey, I knew I couldn't do it because, hey, you were black and I was white. So, but so white women been feeling like this for years. Right. But they've been quiet because their husbands been saying they know that their husband would disown them. But now they
want something that they can't have, man. I think it's the same cycle with a lot of black people, a lot of black men want white women. You know, when there was something that you couldn't have for so long, and then you know those gates were open, and it's like, oh yeah, you know, this is all I want. And as a matter of fact, and I won't go too deep off into it, but in the African American community with women, a lot of women have taken great umbrage with black men who have married, you know, white women or lighter skinned black women.
Right.
Because a lot of times what happens, which is true, a lot of times what happens is that, you know, that black man will, you know, he might have that dark-skinned black woman, and, you know, they're, you know, making their way, man. They're helping one another, man, come up, and then he comes up, and then, you know, he goes and marries, you know, one of those exotic looking women, man, you know, that are like Brazilian or, you know, half black, half Chinese or whatever. Right. And it leaves a lot of the African American women with darker skin, man, just kind of, you know, in the dust, man. And so you see a lot of that happen. But I tell you what else I see a lot of too, man. I see a lot of interracial couples now, man. A lot of them, man. And I love it, man. Right out here where I live, that's all you see, man. Everywhere you go, man. See interracial couples, man. I love to see it, man. They make beautiful kids, man.
Beautiful kids.
They do, man. I love to see it, man. And a lot of those barriers are broken down. It what it shows me. But you know, but I want to talk about something, man. And shout out to my boy Warren Jackson, man. He said something today, Pop, man, that had me rolling, man. Because this we need to talk about this right now, man. We need to unpack this. I need to know, does Drew Brees have a clue? Because you go ahead, Pop.
No, well, I mean, again, I think he may not have had a clue up until yesterday, until all of his teammates, a lot of his teammates came out against him. You know, Drew Brees, you are a good person. You've done a lot for the state of Louisiana, for the city of New Orleans. Katrina, you stepped up to the plate during this COVID virus. I think you and your wife gave $5 million.
Yeah.
But Drew, you have not lived in our shoes, Drew.
Yeah.
Drew, you haven't lived in my shoes. You haven't lived in my son's shoes. Okay? So you don't know what it's like, man, to be an African-American man in this country. It has nothing to do with the American flag. It has absolutely nothing to do with the American flag and dishonoring the American flag. It's got something to do with the fact that we are oppressed and we continue to be oppressed. And who knows, man? George Floyd may have been alive today if people would have listened. You know, there's so many now NFL people saying, "Hey, we owe Colin Kaepernick an apology." Right. He had the vision a long time ago. Okay,
yeah, Pete Carroll.
And then hey, Cap is a yellow bone. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, he's a light skinned brother.
He
Okay.
a half breed. He
Yeah.
a half breed.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I was dating a young lady like that in Louisiana and stuff, Cajun girl and stuff, but she loved the ground I walked on. But she said, "Ping, I can't take you home with me." I said, "Well, why?" She said, "You too dog. My family won't accept you and stuff." I'm serious, man.
They try to now look, people try to keep that color, they try to really keep that color, man, in their families, man.
Right.
My mother stepped outside of that box with you, man. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna be think about it. Think about Aunt Dickie. Think
I could have
about my
married a sweetie
grandma.
the juice.
Think about Uncle Rick. I know it. I know it. I know it. But she was like, man, I'm gonna get me a Negro. You know what I mean? I'm going against the grain on this one. I'm getting me a Negro. I don't want some high yellow, you know what I'm saying? Patootie, yellow boy, you know what I mean?
Wait,
I
I'm
want me a
glad you
dark
did,
man.
man.
Yeah. I want me some dark meat, some thighs,
I ain't,
Yeah.
brother.
So, but now, man, my boy Warren Jackson, man, said something funny, man, and I'm gonna play this clip from Drew in a second. But he said something funny. He said, because he's a New Orleans Saints fan, man,
Right.
to the end, man. And he said, "Dang, Drew, you was invited to the barbecue for life, but now we gotta sit. Now you can't come, and we gotta send your wife home with a plate. You know what I mean?" And I thought that was, I was like, man, that boy crazy, man. You know what I mean? Because they love the dude, man. The dude's never shown anything, as far as characteristically speaking, he's never shown anything, man, outside of a stand-up guy, man. And I think this was the situation where he misplaced his patriotism at the wrong time. You know what I mean? It's nothing wrong to me. I feel like, hey man, it ain't, you feel how you feel.
Exactly.
I was telling you before we started the podcast today that my grandfather is a retired lieutenant colonel and fought in the Korean War and the Vietnam War on the front lines. Yet he thinks that it's disrespectful to kneel during the anthem. Okay, but different people feel different kind of ways. You know what I mean? It's you have the right to feel those kind of ways, but at this particular time, to allude to something like that, this ain't the time for that, man. And I feel about it. This is not the time, but we're going to confabulate on it. I want to play this clip real quick. From Drew Brees, talking about what we're talking about right now.
I will never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. And is everything right with our country right now? No, it's not. We still have a long way to go. But I think what you do by standing there and showing respect to the flag with your hand over your heart is it shows unity. It shows that we are all in this together. We can all do better, and that we are all part of the solution.
And see, here's the thing, Pop. Again, I don't have a problem with what he said. I have a problem with his timing. This ain't the time for you to speak up about how you'll never agree with somebody who's kneeling during the national anthem. It's not the time for that. And the reason why it's not the time for that, because people keep pointing to the anthem. People keep pointing to the flag. Okay. And yes, in essence, right, if you're not standing up, which a lot of people don't do, and take your hat off, and I was told by military men, you're actually supposed to salute the flag, now put your hand over your heart. Okay, but that's a whole nother can of worms. Whatever the case is, you're getting up to show reverence and allegiance towards the flag, towards the country in which you stay. Okay, and so I understand people feel that way, but there's a lot of people that feel that way that do not understand what is going on in this country, what has been going on for so long. And that's one of the things Bill O'Brien alluded to too, man. He talked about slavery. He's like, man, this ain't just happened 40, 50 years ago. This happened 40 years ago when we enslaved, blacks. You know what I mean? He went in, man. I was very, very surprised by some of the things that he alluded to, man.
Rich, he's going to the funeral, man. I mean, it shocked me, man. I'm like, what? He is going to the funeral, brother. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, man. It's important, and that stuff is important, man, because it's important to your players. And somebody might say, oh, well, he has to, he has to do this because he has to show his players that, he's a true leader and all that. Even if that's the case, even if that's the case, right? Oh, I'm gonna do this just because I need to show them I'm a leader. It's just like when the scriptures talk about the gospel being preached, even people that are preaching it that don't really truly believe in it or committed to it, it's still being preached. He's still taking those steps, and it's going to affect him. It's going to affect him because it affects his players, man.
Exactly.
And you know, I hate when people say, "Oh, you just apologize because you got caught." Duh, that's when everybody apologizes, right? Right? Everybody apologizes when they get caught, right? Because if you don't get caught, you ain't got nothing to apologize for unless you confess and say, hey, look, man, I did this. You might not know nothing about it, but you know, hey, I apologize. And those are seldom cases, okay? Right. So I don't subscribe to, you know, the thought that, hey, you know, you just apologize because you got caught. I don't care. It's baby steps. You have to take baby steps in this process. You and I, we talked about it before that it's always going to feel like white people are throwing black people a bone because of the disposition in this country and in our culture, man, and what happened with slavery and segregation and the Jim Crow laws and blacks being hung, man. It's always going to be a problem. It's going to be a bigger problem because of what the scriptures say about nation rising up against nation. It's always going to be an issue. Right. But we have to recognize truth for what it is, man. The fact is right now, I'm 34 years old. That fact will change come December the 6th. I'll be 35. But the truth, it stays still, man. And so, you know, we've talked about some, you know, depressing subjects today, man. But I think very needed things to be spoke about, man, because, you know, there are a lot of people that feel like, you know, if you don't say nothing, you're a part of the problem. Right. And that's not why I came on here and spoke today. I don't subscribe to that either. If you don't want to say nothing, you ain't got to say nothing. Everybody don't know how to stand up. Everybody don't know how to, you know, speak how they feel. You know, everybody is not an extrovert. There are a lot of introverts. You know what I'm saying? People get so insensitive to certain things, but then, you know, get down on somebody or disparage someone who is insensitive towards something else. We all hypocrites in that manner. So, you know, I don't want to hear no jive about none of that. If somebody wants to speak up on it, speak up on it. If you decide, okay, look, my white friend is not saying, they're not posting nothing on Facebook, so I can't be their friend no more because this is a problem. That shows your maturation process has been, you know, has gone down and has not gone up. And so, you know, everybody has the right to feel how they feel, and there are people that don't understand, man, and it's going to take them a while. And I think that black folks, we need to be patient and continue to educate. Like I said, like my father and I said last time, continue to educate our young black men, continue to show them to, you know, to be entrepreneurs, man, and not to be, and I don't want to get political here, but I'm gonna say this, and you can do the research for yourself, not to vote for individuals who hold down the black community by keeping them on Section 8 and housing and welfare. You know, we need to get out here and be like the Black Wall Street men in the 20s, man. That was out here. We was making a buck. We were buying properties, man, and selling properties, man. We were out here keeping the money in our community, but we're not doing that anymore because everybody want to put their hand in everything because of vanity and narcissism. So,
and also we need to be forgiven, man. I prayed for Officer Chauvin yesterday, Rich, because, you know, I'm not sure what his intent was.
Yeah.
But, you know, none were those men who crucified Jesus. And Jesus said, forgive them for they know not what they do. And I don't know whether he has a family or not, but, you know, I mean, he did a great thing. What he didn't realize that what was going to come from this. I mean, like I said, yes, we lost a great person in George Floyd. But the movement behind what he did, well, there was nothing be like the death that Jesus paid. But I tell you what, in our day and time, to see people protesting, not just in the 50 states in the United States, all around the world, man. I mean, during every country in the world, there's been some type of protest. So again, I pray for him. I pray for those other officers and stuff. I mean, because again, man, I mean, if they had malice in their heart, then they need to give their lives to the Lord Jesus Christ and stuff. And if they did this with intent and stuff to hurt him, and stuff, then again they need forgiveness. So yes, I definitely think as a nation we need to forgive. It's hard to forget. I mean, I understand that. Like I said, I said on the show earlier that those wounds of the '60s and stuff had been closed up. I mean, some of the stuff that I had forgotten about the situation with the Scott guy, I had forgotten that. And when I saw some things, man, it just came back in my memory banks. So hey, this world belongs to Jesus Terry, to you, Rich, to my grandsons, my great grandkids. It belongs to you guys, and we have got to put God first and keep Him first in order to deal with what you guys gonna have to deal with in the future.
I couldn't agree with you more, Pop. And man, that was a very, very difficult thing for me to discuss, just because of my bottom line feeling about the whole thing, knowing that it's inevitable. Again, I don't harp on this thing, on these airwaves, because we here to talk about sports, but I represent what we represent. You know what I mean? And part of what I represent knows that the Spirit of God is not hatred, towards any. Genesis 1:26 says that let us create man in our image, after our likeness, our own likeness. And I don't believe otherwise than that. And it's very difficult to get on that, to get that mindset, because of the paradigm that's created when you see our people, as far as African Americans of black descent, African descent, black people, when you see them brutally murdered in the streets like that, it makes you angry, and it's very difficult to deal with. It's very difficult to come to a place where you can decompress and really gather your thoughts and say, okay, look, this is what this is. This is how you label this, and how do we find a solution for it? And so that's my stance, period. But I'm gonna segue into something very exciting, man. That completely contrasts with everything that we've discussed today. And the NBA, man, is coming back in live effect, Pop. I can't even tell you, man. Even though I'm one of the proponents of telling people to be extremely careful out here, the selfishness in me, and I'm just being honest, I'm being transparent. The selfishness in me is so elated, man, that sports is coming back. And I know the NHL's come back. I know soccer and Korean baseball, but that ain't my thing. I'm the three main guy. Okay, I'm baseball, basketball, football. Okay, occasionally, I watch some tennis matches. I watch golf. I'll even watch a little hockey sometimes, and a little soccer sometimes. But NFL, NBA, and MLB. Okay, and so the NBA is rebooting, Pop. Okay, and here's what the proposal was, and here's how everything is going to look like. Here are the key points. All 22 teams will return to play, because they're going to have the top 22 teams seeded. There will be 9 from the Eastern Conference, and there will be I'm gonna mess my math here. Is it 13? I think it's 13 from the Western Conference. 13. And it says all 22 teams will return to play at Disney's ESPN Wide World of Sports complex in July. Okay. It includes current playoff teams and teams within 6 games of a final playoff spot. In the Western Conference, the Kings, Pelicans, Spurs, Suns, Trailblazers, I believe those are the teams that are out of it. And in the Eastern Conference, the Wizards. It includes 8 regular season games and potential play-in tournament to determine playoff field. Now, I want to start there at the bottom. That is exciting, man. Play-in tournament, that's very, equivalent to college basketball, man. And I mean, having a play-in tournament in the NBA, man, that would be a great thing to see, man. To see if these teams, what teams, man, that are behind, that are able to get back in, man, and really make a run. And I want to just be on position of Shaq, right, and Shaquille O'Neal when he thinks that this season should be scratch, whoever would win it, wouldn't really hold the same weight. I beg to differ. It's gonna hold the same weight. Matter of fact, it might even hold a bigger one, just because of how people have been deprived from sports for these last several months, Pop. So, man, I can't tell you how excited I am, man. You know, obviously, you know, our team is in that, and y'all, this is the only team that him and I concur on, okay, and that's the Houston Rockets. Okay, they will be in that thing, and you know, many other teams. And man, Pop, I'm excited to see, man, how it's going to work, you know, how it's going to do, man, and just period. I'm excited to see it, and I can't wait, man. How you feel about it?
Oh, I feel great too, Rich. I mean, it's been a long time, and I'm glad. And I was really a little afraid. I'm saying, man, there's no movement from the NBA, man. What are these guys doing? Evan Silver was, you know, he was getting in touch with all the head coaches and GMs. And you got any ideas? Like, hey, man, I've never done anything like this. None of us have. But
Right.
what they came up with, man, is really getting the 22 best teams in the NBA and getting everybody a shot. And you know, you talked about that tournament that they're gonna have and stuff, play-in tournament. I go a little deeper than that, man. Playing in arenas with not a lot of fans or no fans, it kind of reminds me of AAU ball. Nobody has the advantage. You know, there's no
Right.
home court advantage and stuff. So we're gonna get a true best team, okay,
Yeah.
or a team
Yep.
who is playing the best basketball to win this championship. You know,
Right.
it could be the New Jersey Jets who look like they're gonna get Kevin Durant
Right.
and Irving back. Wouldn't that
Right.
be
Right.
something? Okay.
Oh
So
man, I'd love to see it.
right. So I mean, you know, yeah, we pulling for the Rockets. We'd love to see the Rockets get another one. It's been a long time since the city had a championship and anything and stuff. James Harden has went out and they say he's looking as great as ever. He's back down to 200 pounds. So Russell Westbrook has been running on the beach and stuff. And so these guys ready to put it in full gear, man. You know,
Yeah.
small ball is on its way back, baby. So yeah, I'm excited. I think the first games start late July and they're gonna finish up sometime in October. So that's gonna probably be days, man. But when we're doing the show and we got a football game or two or three or four or five to talk about, a basketball
Yes.
tournament or something to talk about, a
Yep.
championship. So yeah, it's gonna be good, man. This
Yeah.
long way off layoff and stuff is now paying off.
Let's touch on that, man, because if baseball comes back, the three major sports will be intertwined right in that little September, October. Oh man, it's gonna be wonderful, man. And I'm thinking about, you know, things like, okay, so now that we, you know, these 22 teams are in, I thought that was very, very considerate of them, of the teams that are not in, knowing that, man, they want to get those high draft picks. You
Right,
know what I mean? And they
right,
don't want to just come and play for nothing. And I think that Damian Lillard said it best, man. Look, he said, man, look, I'm going to come because I'm gonna support my team, but I'm not gonna play for nothing.
right,
Okay. So even if y'all mandate us to play, I'm not playing for nothing. So I could go out there and get hurt, you know, and it can mess up my career, can mess up my money. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I respected that, man, because you should, man, send those teams out there that ain't playing for nothing to play. You know, and on the contrast of that, I love the fact that they're having those 8 games for the teams that are in, man, because it gives you a little time to get ramped up. And I'm gonna tell you something, Pop. I'm gonna tell you something. The one thing that I know about Russell Westbrook is, because he's always at full speed. Normally, when he gets to the playoffs, man, that's when he get tired. But
right.
man, he's had time to rest, man.
Oh yeah,
And he a monster. He just like a cheetah, man. You know,
right,
cheetahs, man, they run up to 70 miles an hour, man, and
right,
and go the great lengths to catch their prey. As soon as they catch them, they don't even eat them. They so tired. You know what I mean? They
right,
just sit there, man. They catch their breath, man, because they'll die and kill them. You know
right,
what I mean? And Russell Westbrook is a cheetah,
right.
but he's gonna have full momentum, man, going off into these 8 games and going off into the playoffs. So I think that I would be on a huge island by my lonesome when I say, man, that I really think the Rockets are gonna make a run, and I don't think teams like the Clippers and the Lakers will be individuals that will take them down easily, if so at all.
Oh, I absolutely concur with that, Rich. I mean, like I said, I mean, of course, you know, LeBron's been working out, and you know, a lot of the guys have been working out, you know, but
Yeah,
I really, really been impressed with what I've seen from James Harden and the other Rocket, Westbrook, and the other members of the Houston Rockets and stuff. And like I said, man, I mean, this is going to be an endurance thing because, like I said,
Right.
man, I mean, those guys have had time to rest up, rest their legs. Those guys have been injured, they're back and stuff. So, man, I think we're going to see some great basketball. I think we're going to see some magnificent things happen. And it wouldn't surprise me, man. It wouldn't surprise me at all if a team like the Boston Celtics or the New Jersey Nets or even the Portland Trailblazers come out of nowhere and win this thing. And hey, Rich, before we close the show, and I know we're getting close to it and stuff, I would be remiss if I didn't say this, man. There was another giant that was lost in the third ward community this past week. Manson Johnson, the pastor of Holman Street Baptist Church, friend of mine, my frat brother. When I was the graduate advisor for the chapter of Phi Beta Sigma at the University of Houston, Manson was my man of the year one year and stuff. And just a great person and stuff. And just got the virus and, I mean, thought he was doing pretty good. We were praying for him, and we were getting updates and stuff from the grad chapter over in Houston and stuff. And next thing we knew, he had passed away. So my condolences and my prayers go out to his family and all of those the members of the Holman Street Baptist Church in the third ward community.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Condolences go out, but we know he is absent in that body and in the presence of the Lord. So he doing all right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
We trying to follow that plane in that train because there's money in it. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. First of all, we just again, man, we thank the first responders. We know they still out there working extremely hard to fight against, in this dangerous adventure they've been on for the last 3 or 4 months, fighting against something that's unprecedented that has plagued all of us. We thank all of you guys. Be safe. As people steadily dropping, look, everybody be safe. Keep your mask on, okay? If you ain't gonna do nothing else, man, I mean, they selling masks everywhere now. Get you some masks
everywhere.
I'm telling you, slap that mask on, man, and go about your business, man, and do like somebody that lives in the country. Just go out once or twice a week, man, to get your groceries. You ain't got to be going out somewhere every day.
Exactly.
I see so many people now, man, walking around, they ain't got no mask on, like it ain't like this thing is over with. It's not over with at all. You know what I mean? It's just clearing his throat right now. So I think everybody just really needs to just hone in, man, and on being careful, man, and just again condolences to the family of George Floyd and his friends. They're gonna be mourning for quite some time, but just remember this, y'all, if any of y'all ever watch this, man, that what happened to your son or your loved one, it has changed the entire world. There are people in Auckland, New Zealand that are protesting. Okay, there are people building murals in Syria. Okay, Syria they don't care nothing about America, but here they are. They making murals of George Floyd. Okay, very similar to the one that you see behind me right now. So I just my condolences go out to y'all, and y'all keep that in mind. And everyone who listens to the show, man, we thank y'all. We ask that you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Okay, help us to come up in the game so that we can continue to give y'all the real, continue to give y'all our expert analysis. And just we thank y'all, man, for real, man. On behalf of me, J.R. Wilson, and my father, Ping Wilson, of The Solid Grip, we thank y'all. Continue to listen in. Continue to keep your ear open. Continue to relax your reel so we can soothe your ear. And y'all take care, man. Have a good evening.